Kia ora koutou, o Marie. Welcome to day 5 of our Holy Week retreat, Good Friday. We face this day with deep sadness, not only because we recall the crucifixion of Jesus, but because we cannot gather this afternoon in our churches or even walk the way of the cross with others in the streets of our towns and cities. Let me offer you a number of suggestions for your prayer today. One of these might be one that you choose for yourself. You might like to consider this. While walking in these days of the lockdown outside, around your property, in your garden, or further afield, along the streets of your neighbourhood, you might like to recall or picture the way of the cross, the stations of the cross, in your mind as you walk. There's no need for you to carry a book of the stations, because you could use the images, the pictures of the 5 sorrowful mysteries of the Rosary. The agony of Jesus in the garden, the scourging at the pillar, the crowning of thorns, the way of the cross, the crucifixion. What you might do is take one scene at a time. Perhaps, like me, you go outside several times during the day for these walks or this exercise. So you might begin with the agony of Jesus in the garden and just keep that picture before you as you walk. And then later, when you go out again, take the scourging at the pillar until perhaps around 3 o'clock you go outside and consider the crucifixion. That might be one way for you to pray today. Another way would be to read slowly, and I suggest out loud, one of the Passion accounts in the Gospels, letting your mind, your imagination dwell on particular moments that catch your attention. One of the advantages of these days of lockdown is that suddenly we have more time to do those things which perhaps we've always wanted to do, but it hasn't been possible given our busy schedule for each day. Another suggestion, which might suit some of you, if you enjoy listening to music, is to sit down and listen to Bach's St. Matthew's Passion, perhaps closing your eyes and recalling some of the scenes of Good Friday. Or maybe it might be more appropriate to listen to a musical like Godspell or Jesus Christ Superstar. Again, allowing your imagination to enrich the experience of listening to the music and the words of the songs. Let me now guide you in what I call an imaginative prayer exercise. I call this one Accompanying Mary as she visits Jesus in the cells. It's not recorded in the Gospels, but I suggest that it could be a way for you of prayerfully entering this day. Once again, take a moment to prepare yourself for prayer in the way that by now you find helpful. Gently close your eyes. Place yourself lovingly in the presence of our God. Imagine that Jesus spends some time in the cells before he begins to walk to Calvary. Mary, his mother, has been granted permission to visit him, and she comes to you, asking that you might accompany her. She does this because you and she are acquainted. Perhaps years ago you knew her and Joseph in Nazareth. Maybe you accompanied them to Bethlehem and assisted at the birth of Jesus. Or maybe you went as Joseph's supporter on the way to Egypt while they lived as refugees in exile. So imagine that you are walking with Mary towards the gate, the door of the cells. Listen to the conversation as Mary informs the guard that she has been permitted to spend a few moments with her son, Jesus of Nazareth. The cells are partly underground, and when you enter the corridors, you are aware of how dark it is, the way lit by just a few torches. It's cold, the air is stale, and there is a terrible smell. And you see people incarcerated, chained, awaiting their fate. You are led to a corner where you find Jesus. Picture him seated with his back against the wall, his hands in chains, looking exhausted, dirty, sweaty, with dried blood over his parts of his face, his hands and his legs. Jesus looks up at you through eyes that he can barely open and speaks through cracked, parched lips. What does he say? What does Mary say, his mother? Is she permitted to touch him or hold him? Perhaps you had the foresight to bring a damp cloth with you, which you passed to her so that she might dampen his face. Gaze at mother and son. Imagine Jesus looking up at you. What does he try to say to you? What do you want to say to him? Before you know it, the soldiers come for Jesus, and you and Mary must leave the cells. Watch as Mary says goodbye to Jesus, her son. Watch as Jesus, the Son, says goodbye to his mother. Imagine the walk to the gate of the cells out into the sunshine, aware of the feelings in your heart, the tears in your eyes, tears for Mary, tears for Jesus. Take your time now to leave the scene. Keeping your eyes closed, engage in your usual conversation with God, expressing your feelings, your prayers, your intentions for this day. trying as best you can to speak to God as one friend to another. Jesus, may all that is you flow into me. May your body and blood be my food and drink. May your passion and death be my strength and life. Jesus, with you by my side, enough has been given. May the shelter I seek be the shadow of your cross. Let me not run from the love that you offer, but hold me safe from the forces of evil. On each of my dyings shed your light and your love. Keep calling to me until that day comes, when with your saints I may praise you forever. Amen. Gently open your eyes. The prayer that I have just suggested to you might be one that you want to return to later today. The prayer review questions I suggest are these. As you look over your time of prayer, ask, was I fully involved or more like a spectator, bored or engaged? What did I feel in my heart as I gazed upon the Good Friday Jesus? Until we meet tomorrow, noho ora mai, kia kaha.